pistachios. The act of recording myself has always felt very strange to me. I don't know why. Anyways. What's up, Coda? He's being very majestic. Look at the photos. I don't remember why I turned this on. Why I started this. I do. Okay. So, I've been thinking about such and such and many things. And I started to wonder why we are so cynical when it comes to a childish imagination. Hello, Suki. When it comes to imagination in general, why do we deter human beings from imagination? And I think there are several reasons, but I think the biggest one is that imagination is the hardest part about a human being to control. You can control everything else. But the imagination and the thought processes that go behind that are so individual that it would take like actually implanting something in your mind in order to control that. Or drugs. But hopefully we're not all on those. I don't know. It could happen. Anyways, back to the reduction of imagination. I was feeling, I don't know, sort of down in the dumps, I guess is the way to put it. And I remembered that along with some storage stuff that I had hiding away at my place, I had some old, like, stuffed animals. And it was like an immediate drive. I was like, I know what I'm getting. I know what I need to grab right now. And so I went back through all the bins as efficiently and quickly as possible, knowing what I was getting to get blue-eyed white tiger. Which is one of the older stuffed animals that I have. I'm pretty sure it's from like an Exxon or something a long time ago. But yeah, he was always my favorite because you could move him around and he could do like ninjutsu and ninja skills. So, everybody, this is Blue-Eyed White Tiger. He says hello, hello. And moving on from that now, because that's a separate thing. I find it fascinating that we deter dogs. We deter people from sustaining imaginations, from holding on to the ability to create anything out of what is perceivably nothing. And this has been actually something that's been, the idea has been coming up a lot in my life lately. Because the other day I was also thinking about how, you know, our medieval stories, our ancient human recordings have so much interpretation to them. So much of them is based on conjecture. And so you have to wonder, all of these great stories and these great, you know, manifestations of the time are really just stories because none of us actually know at this point. And not that there isn't evidence and such, but I mean, thinking about everything that is mythological, everything that is from a higher power or from, you know, some sort of imaginative declaration, all of these things were based on conjecture of the time. It was everybody submitting to the world. This is my best idea of what's happening right now. You know, were dragons a disease? because that was just their best idea of what was happening right now. They'd find people incinerated in the woods from something that turned their skin that way. I don't know. But it's all just imagination and conjecture. And so it's really interesting that we spend so much time trying to kill imagination nowadays, because in a sense, imagination is the key to a lot of things, but it's also the killer of a lot of things. You know, if you have people who are trapped in imagination, if you have people who are, you know, so desperately stuck in their own minds, then clearly there's issues happening. The dogs are playing behind me. But at the same time, imagination... Oh, just killed a bloody mosquito on my pants. Imagination is the key to inspiring a world that's better, or inspiring a world that is different, inspiring a world that's new, because it's only through our ability to project ideas, our ability to assemble things in our mind, no matter what they're made out of. It's that ability that is imagination, that really, you know, sorry, this fly is bothering the hell out of me, is really the goal of imagination, is to search for these things by any means imaginable. And so it's really interesting that we're all about killing imagination nowadays. And I don't want to say that as in, you know, everyone's out to destroy imagination, because there is huge movements of people who are trying to educate and teach these ideas, and it's wonderful to see. But I would say, as a whole, we're moving away from imagination and moving more towards constructivism. You know, we're building more and more of an assembly line, and I feel like that's a goal. I feel like that's not just happening. I feel like that's a goal of someone somewhere, or some people, or some things. I don't know. But I do feel like that's a goal for the human race, is to approach that next civilization. Look at any civilization game. They know what they're doing. That's so funny. Anyways, before I make myself laugh too much, which is pointless, doesn't matter at this point. The sun is right in my face. I might just edit this whole section, or I won't. Who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna say that like 3 more times before I remember what I'm saying. I apologize. Cool. The overall reminder, the idea that I want to create as a possibility for people's futures, is to take moments to practice imagination. Because it's not something to just like, you shouldn't get to the level where you're completely imagining your whole world right away. But start with something. Start with tiny things where you are using your imagination to alter some aspect of what's around you in tiny ways. And by being able to practice it, by being able to learn how we are with it and how we can develop it to function around it, the more our lives get filled with the magic that we were told no longer exists. The magic that we were told has never existed. But if you look at all of these records, you have to wonder, why are there so many similarities, etc.? And I think a large portion of it is because we were having to create something. We had to tell someone something about what we were doing, what we were feeling. We were so much more spread out as a species. Communication was so much harder than it is today. And I'm not saying that it wasn't possible, but to really think about word of mouth and how word of mouth alters within one go, it can change that quickly. So much of what we understand as our past is just story. It's just the books that were written at that time are all of a sudden our understanding of history. And of course, this isn't, all history is this way. There's certainly things that we can identify, and we can see the pattern in and relate and compile information. There's plenty of things that we can do that. But there's still so many things where we're like, where did that come from? What even is that? So much of our history is that way. And so I think the sooner we can recognize that our existence is about stories, our existence is about perceiving time, and stories surpass time. So I think when we realize that, which is possibly happening more and more nowadays, I would think it would. There's larger population. But moving from that idea, the more we recognize these patterns, and the more we recognize our potential to change the existence around us, the more we're willing to try, and the more we're willing to do. Excuse me. And I think it is only from the understanding of those two things that we can achieve personal success. We can achieve other successes. And I no, that would fall in line with unpleasant, successful people as well. The more we understand that we can change our reality, the more we're going to. So that's really the big point. Is understanding that you can change your reality. And practice it. Don't just build it up until it goes out of control, which, is where our crazy line might veer off. Or what you could call crazy. It's all just perception. But practice it, Make that your martial art. Imagination is a martial art. It's the only way to go. Okay. Bye. I can't believe I'm about to post this. Shit.